All right. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. It says that my microphone is registering sound. It says that I'm connected. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Premarket Prep Session, Deluxe Premarket Prep Session for June 26, 2023. Of course, we're going to go over the week ahead, important things on the economic calendar. You guys are joining me. So I unplugged it, and then it said it couldn't pick up the Deep Tech web mic. Some audio testing, but we're alive, we're kicking, we're ready to go in another great week. As you can see, it is very empty, legitimately, except for choppy feed. Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, is it unbearable? If it's unbearable, I'll scrap the stream, and we can keep it pushing. It might be that the mic needs to be charged or something like that, but read, and we can all check out that the Wall Street Breakfast newsletter ourselves, right? So let me know. It's a buffering issue, and we lost you for a few seconds at a time. Okay, so let me see if it's yes, very in and out feed, because this is the new connection issue. Yeah, this is my new Xfinity Wi-Fi that you can see from back there. This is my first time trying to stream, so that might be the issue. Connection issue. Yeah, I might have to just go. Seems to be working now. Okay, awesome. Yeah, guys, let me know. Drop a 1 in the chat if it's working. Drop a 2 in the chat if there's still issues. Like I said, just moved into a new house. Tough nuggets sometimes. Okay, seems good now. Awesome. There we go. Great. Yeah, so yeah, you can pretty much see I literally don't have anything in here. I have the lights up, but I need to get blackout curtains. I've got like big freaking windows in here, and I need to get the rest of my setup going. But for right now, I'm joining you from just an empty white room. And then my router, which you can see there behind me, and some boxes I still got to unpack. But happy to be here, and happy to be settled into the new place. Had the challenge last week. That was amazing. Throw a 3 in the chat if you got something amazing out of the challenge. I really love what was taught there, and I think I'm going to integrate that into the intro course that we have going on, because that stuff is just so key and foundational, and I think that it would really help people a lot when they're first learning. I feel like that would really just help cement the foundation of technical analysis, even more so than the course already does. So I'm always looking to get better, to improve, to make things easier, to make things simpler to understand, and of course to make people as good at charting as fast as they can be as soon as possible. So I think I will go ahead and integrate that. Thank you, Des. I appreciate that. I'm in love with the new place already. Very excited to make it a home, set it up, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's see. It'll be a big help to new members. Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're always trying to optimize things, make things better. And it was just, I feel like learning that from the beginning, kind of what we talked about in terms of identifying swings and all that would be huge. So I always try and think about how I would love to learn things if I were to run it all back. And that is, most definitely incorporating that information would be part of it. So let's go into what we got going on today. And again, excuse any internet issues. It's funny, both me and my main video editor were moving at the same time. And I had issues getting my internet set up. We had a tech come out last week, and he's also having internet issues as well. So I was like, listen, man, we're just too in sync right now for our own good. But it was a funny coincidence that, he's moving at the same time as me. I was like, all right, so that way I don't feel as guilty about not being able to get you content as timely this week. So in terms of our top news, we're always going to start with the week ahead. You guys know the drill. And for anybody who's just joining us for the first time, this is going to be our daily session where we go over all the news, notes, analysis, and information, right? Trade ideas that will be absolutely integral to making sure that we are making great money in markets this week, as well as setting the correct expectations, which is all too important, and that starts on Monday. So we had a great week last week. Microsoft calls hitting big, coin calls, right, hitting big. Meta calls hitting super big with the 600% gain on Meta calls. So absolutely beautiful week. Can't ask for anything much more than that. Meta gave the beautiful setup. It was broadcasted days in advance. and then it came through to pay the big bag. So, great setup, and we really just want to look to enter into the new week with fresh expectations, right? And just taking what it gives us, recognize that the market owes us nothing. And let's see here. In terms of top news, we're going to go over the week ahead and then also look into the economic calendar and what we got going on. So investors head into the last week of the quarter with a slightly more cautious positioning as recession fears have jumped to the forefront again. I love how we have one red week and people were like, recession fears are back. They've jumped to the forefront. Like the world is going to end, fire and brimstone. And it's just not, just not even that deep. A slow calendar of economic releases means that traders may stew further on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's congressional testimony, in which he signaled more interest rate hikes are ahead. Meanwhile, the release of the results for the Federal Reserve's annual stress test will be a major focus in the banking sector. Seeking Alpha analyst Steven Simpson said the bigger changes for banks are likely to come later as the Federal Reserve contemplates new rules tied to Basel III Endgame and the failures of Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic. Simpson noted that while the largest banks seem less vulnerable, capital requirement changes could meaningfully impact the profitability of regional banks, with uncertainty likely to weigh on bank stocks in general for a while longer. This doesn't really affect my outlook in any way on the banking sector. I think the big boys will continue to dominate things. And I think that, power will continue to consolidate in the hands of a few. That's kind of just how the world goes. I do think that, increased requirements and more stringent restrictions on banks are necessary so we don't have these same idiots throwing money around kind of willy-nilly like they were. And causing all this hardship and causing all of these issues. In terms of earnings news this week, we've got Carnival today, Carnival Cruise Line, CCL. We've got Walgreens Boot Alliance, WBA, which is just Walgreens. On Tuesday, let's see what else. Wednesday, we've got Micron Technology. That's very interesting considering the fact that, of course, they're a semiconductor company. So far, every semiconductor company has reinvented themselves as an AI company. And, they've seen that reflected in their earnings. So there will likely be a lot of people playing Micron earnings. It's something to look into, right? Every earnings play is speculative. They have earnings Wednesday after the bell. So, put that on the calendar, circle the date. If you feel like gambling some money, by all means, do some earnings plays on Micron, right? If you feel like gambling some money, right? When you go in gambling money, you know full well you can lose it. As long as you're fine losing the money and you're not counting on that paying your rent or paying your car note, then sure, by all means, take a gamble. Made great profits this week. You can have fun in markets, right? It's not like it's a strict, some type of strict camp. This isn't like communist North Korea or, Russia or anything. You can do what you want, have a bit of fun. Just make sure that having fun isn't your investment strategy, right? And that's not your consistent strategy hoping for profit. Throw a 6 in the chat if that makes sense. We don't want having fun to be our trading strategy. We want that to be something that we have the luxury of doing as a result of implementing our trading strategy and doing so consistently. So let's get back to this newsy news here. Volatility watch, is that important? Nope, not important. Dividends, also not important. Corporate events, the 4-day Snowflake Summit 2023 will attract attention this week, with the company expected to give investors a deeper look at its latest innovations, use cases, and thought leadership. The summit will include a fireside chat on generative AI with NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. Delta Airlines will webcast the company's Investor Day presentation on June 27th. I would not be surprised if we see some type of news or something that is unveiled that causes Snow to kind of continue to push. We talked about it, and how it's on the edge of weekly breakout and really trying to push, and it could start, a domino effect to really get things moving for Snow. And that could happen as a result of stuff that's unveiled this week. So just something to keep an eye on, right? I don't believe in coincidence. So I feel like the fact that they're, verging on this breakout and how they can really push on the weekly, coinciding with the fact that they've got a 4-day event, we'll see if it's anything that can kind of push the envelope for Snow here. As it's been something that's been on our radar for the past few weeks watching it on the weekly. Let's see. Where is now? We're gonna get into our Monday specific news. Let's also check on the economic calendar here. So what is it? The 26th? Yes, Friday, June. Last week's. Yeah, let's get an updated calendar here. Refresh this. Yeah, I mean, you gotta love like sunlight during the day, but it's just like right now very inconvenient. Like you love rooms with nice natural light and high ceilings and all that, and then you sit down and you try and do a webcast, and it's like you're getting rated by SWAT or something with the light. I almost threw sunglasses on before this. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow while we figure out what curtains. I was gonna order curtains last night, blackout curtains, but y'all know how that is. Got to run it by the missus first, otherwise they might be going right back. So hopefully by the end of the day we'll have some blackout curtains in here, and I can be back to my my hermit hovel like I used to be in with my blackout curtains up and letting no light in but artificial light. This is the life of a trader. Let's see here. June 26th. So nothing scheduled on the in terms of economic reports and Fed speakers today. Tomorrow, 27th, we get what home price index, consumer confidence, new home sales tomorrow. So around 10 a.m. right, new home sales and consumer confidence. We can get we can get some crap stirring up, for lack of better terms, at around 10 a.m. Doesn't really seem like one of the things that would be like super big market moving, but it can be one of those things where again you get that 1 minute candle pop in either direction, and then usually that move kind of fades off, and what we end up doing is ultimately going in the other direction. So some light things to stay aware of tomorrow at 10 a.m. Then Wednesday, what do we got? We have Powell speaking at 9:30 a.m. So obviously that's going to be very important. Wholesale, retail inventories, both at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, and then Powell literally right as the market opens. So that'll be fun. We also have Powell on Thursday at 2:30 a.m. So he must be speaking somewhere overseas. That seems like it should be irrelevant, but if he says something there that he didn't say in the previous speech, it might register overnight in terms of the movement that we get. But the big thing is going to be Powell on Wednesday. Then we've also got GDP at 8:30 a.m. On Thursday, and initial jobless claims on Thursday. So Wednesday, Thursday, we've got some important stuff on the economic calendar that you want to mark off. Tell your Alexa to also mark off and all that good stuff. Friday, we've got PCE index, which is important, right? That's the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. So make sure that you recognize that we got PCE coming in on Friday. Let's see what else we got happening. So yeah, just a lot of things on the economic calendar this week. We really kind of heat up toward the end of the week, so that's typically how it goes. We get like a peak. It's kind of easy going, and then Wednesday stuff starts to ramp up in terms of news. So that's the same thing here this week. Monday, Tuesday, pretty docile. Consumer confidence could be important tomorrow, but pretty docile. Nothing today, but we ramp up as the week goes on. Now, in terms of top news here, Russian roulette. Things are moving fast following a headline provoking weekend in Russia where an aborted mutiny by Yevgeny Prigozhin and the Wagner Group has shaken expectations about what might come next in the Kremlin's war in Ukraine. An armored Wagner convoy was only 120 miles from Moscow when a revolt was called off, with the paramilitary group shooting down 6 Russian helicopters and a command center plane after seizing the military logistics hub of Rostov-on-Don. Wow. Under terms of an agreement to end the crisis, Wagner's 25,000 heavily armed troops won't face prosecution, while Prigozhin will be exiled to Belarus, though his days there could be numbered after threatening to storm the Russian capital in a march of justice. So you guys probably heard a lot about this over the weekend. Trouble in paradise, if you can call it. Being facetious here, with Putin now facing actual armed resistance, and apparently this was like his A1 general. The Wagner Group was like the only one of the military groups to make any type of offensive movement deeper into Ukraine. So it's literally like his best player. If Russia was like an NBA team, his best player saying, yeah, I'm not playing for you anymore. In terms of explaining, the bitter feud has been ongoing for months, with Prigozhin accusing the Kremlin of battlefield losses due to shortfalls in financing, weapons, and even recruitment. So he's pretty much calling Putin out, saying, hey, you guys were getting our butts whooped, and it's really because you guys suck as a government. Things took a turn for the worse on June 10th when Russia's Ministry of Defense ordered all volunteer detachments to sign contracts with the government. Prigozhin refused, as it would deprive him of his power base, and took his chances on a revolt instead of being forced into insubordination. Putin has also historically promoted rivalries in the ranks to prevent succession challenges, but this one seems to have backfired and could leave Russia's strongman's regime with some permanent damage. So, a lot of unrest here. This is really what you see happening kind of before collapse. So Putin might be seeing, the institution that is Mother Russia, or at least Putin's iteration of Mother Russia, crumbling before his eyes. Quote, I don't think we've seen the final act, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken declared. We've seen more cracks emerge in the Russian facade. It is too soon to tell exactly where they go and when they get there. But certainly we have all sorts of new questions that Putin is going to have to address in the weeks and months ahead. Our focus is resolutely and relentlessly on Ukraine, making sure that it has what it needs to defend itself and to take back territory that Russia seized. Markets are looking at the situation as a non-event for now, but traders are on edge should things morph into something bigger, like a full-out coup, uprising, or even a civil war. Wouldn't that be interesting? Energy is likely the biggest sector that would be impacted, with Russia being the world's third largest crude producer and a supplier of natural gas to Western Europe. Even safe haven gold barely caught a bid after the weekend's events, but based on past disruptions, shocks could roil everything from stocks to currencies pretty quickly if trouble ensues. Now, in terms of the defense sector, NATO allies will be thinking of the latest developments when considering new military funding or the supply of Lockheed Martin-built F-16s. Lockheed Martin, right, their ticker LMT. Love LMT as a defense stock, which would upgrade Ukraine's firepower, but could also escalate the situation with the ability to strike deep into Russia. The U.S. has already made several U-turns when supplying more advanced weapons, including heavy artillery, M1 Abrams tanks, and the Patriot missile defense system. Things are taking on more importance as the Ukrainian military gets a long-planned counteroffensive underway and ahead of a NATO summit in Vilnius next month, where Kiev will press the alliance on stronger defense commitments. So it's something that we talked about when it broke out, that it did not seem like it was shaping up to be a short conflict, and it has not been such. And now you can see kind of maybe the tide even shifting to where NATO, and Ukraine might be pushing Russia back, right? Where Russia's kind of been getting bodied this whole time. And then they sort of lost really offensive capabilities in the last few weeks. And now it looks like Ukraine is going on the offensive. So we'll see, right? I think that, the U.S., NATO, Biden has a lot of important decisions to make. Do you give them the capability to strike deep into Russia? I don't know, because what does Russia still have? Nuclear warheads. So it's like, do we really want to push that far? It's kind of like get out of my house and don't come back, as opposed to like get out of my house and I'm going to chase you to your house, because Putin has nuclear warheads in his house. So it's a balancing act, right? It's most definitely a balancing act, because it takes only one unhinged moment and only one unhinged man to change the course of history in a very drastic and just horrible way. So, you just got to kind of pray that everything works out for the best and just keep it pushing. But that's a little update on the Russia situation for anyone that was not aware. Now, in terms of energy here, nice segue. Oil demand, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which is OPEC, has projected that global oil demand will increase to 110 million barrels per day by 2045, with overall energy demand expected to rise by 23%. While the group acknowledges that renewable power will play a greater role in the world's energy mix going forward, it stressed that, quote, oil remains an integral part of the mix. OPEC also raised concerns about the underinvestment in the oil industry, saying this could jeopardize existing energy systems' viability and result in energy chaos. This contrasts with the IEA's recent forecast of global oil demand growth tapering off in the next few years. So OPEC expecting demand to go up. Who knows? Maybe OPEC at this point is backing the whatchamacallit, the Wagner Group, OPEC is like, yeah, you know what? You actually should go in and just cause, terror and widespread panic in Russia. Because what is that going to do? It's going to drive up energy prices. And that's what OPEC's been trying to do. And Russia's really been the one that's been stopping them, because Russia keeps selling cheap oil because it needs to finance this crusty war that it started. They're kind of the ones standing in OPEC's way. So I would not put it past them, right? But apparently the Wagner Group rebellion and all that stuff is over. We'll see. But if I was OPEC and I was capable of doing the things that OPEC has done in the past, I'd sponsor a mutiny in Russia. Why not, right? That's literally exactly what you're trying to get done. So we'll see, right? We'll see how things shake out. In terms of healthcare, pills for obesity, the investor craze for obesity treatments continues as Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO, said high-dose oral versions of its diabetes medication, semaglutide, significantly reduced weight in late-stage trials. That could make them a more convenient alternative to expensive injections. Semaglutide is the active ingredient of popular weight loss treatments Wegovy, Rybelsus, and Ozempic, with Novo ahead of the crowd in terms of weight loss drug trials. We talked about Novo Nordisk last week. It's really a big favorite. It's really a big favorite of all the more low key, like people who like to find the next big thing. Like there are a lot of Novo Nordisk stands that like do a lot of research on what they have. And like Novo Nordisk is the next big thing. It's the new hotness, right? You got to be in Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO. I haven't looked that deeply into them, but this is one of those things, where, hey, this might prove that they have some metal, right? Eli Lilly is really the pharmaceutical company that you want to be a part of if you're a part of any of them. I mean, they're like the Michael Jordan of pharmaceutical companies at this point. So, Novo Nordisk is trying to push and unseat them. And it may, who knows, but those are definitely the two biggest names, or the names of most interest right now in the pharmaceutical space. Let's see here. Speaking of, rival Eli Lilly is close behind, having recently completed a mid-stage trial for its weight loss pill, Wow, why do they do this? Orforglipron. I don't know why they can't just name it like weight loss or drop pounds or like, I don't know. They have to give every single medication the weirdest names. It just sounds like I'm speaking like an alien dialect or something. In terms of merger and acquisition news, Merger Monday, IBM has agreed to acquire software provider Aptio for $4.6 billion from Vista Equity Partners with available cash on hand. The deal will boost IBM's IT automation capabilities and drive significant synergies across growth areas. Aptio was taken private by Vista Equity Partners in a $1.9 billion deal that faced several shareholder lawsuits at the time. IBM acquired 8 companies in 2022, the last being Octo, and is exploring a sale of its weather business. So we got some, M&A news happening here. IBM, we'll see if that goes through. We talked about how the FTC has been super strict, the SEC, all of them, right? All the things ending in C, all those regulatory organizations have been really, really strict. So we'll see if this ends up working out for IBM. In terms of today's markets, we got a mixed bag, looking like more red than green here, though. In Asia, Japan down 0.3%, Hong Kong down 0.5%, China down 1.5%, India flat, the FTSE in London down 0.1%, Paris up 0.2%, Frankfurt down 0.1%, the Dow down 0.1%, S&P down 0.2%, NASDAQ down 0.2%, crude up 0.4%, gold up 0.6%, Bitcoin down 1.1%. Today's economic calendar, nothing really of note. Let me see here I wanted to check something real quick. Let's see. It looks like we're actually really flat on SPY rather than maybe slightly red, but definitely not where we were around the lows. So let's see kind of how we end up at open in terms of what else is happening. And actually, before we get into it, we see, SPY pulling back last week, giving, real opportunity here, and also at a real pivotal point where either we get a hard bounce, which given the trend, right, we can definitely get a bounce in this area. If we lose this area on the daily, right, that 432.73 area on the daily, then we can start to see more downside. But as long as we hold that area on the daily, 1.5, we could be in for a bounce and a mean one at that. So that's what we're watching here this morning headed into this week. is a possible bounce on SPY. Which will be a very important part of the week. Again, you have a few down days and everybody doesn't know what to do and yada, yada, this and that makes for absolutely handsome profits to the upside. When we get a bounce or when we get an hourly downtrend break, that's the spark of the bounce. So we'll definitely be keeping our eyes open for that. And that way we won't be surprised if we were right back testing the daily highs by the end of this week, as opposed to, kind of the bottom falling out. But we'll be prepared for either because we'll be paying attention to that level. That level is going to be the level of importance. So we'll be keeping an eye on it again, that 432.73. Now, in terms of what else is happening, our rapid fire bullet point rundown will close us out today for this session. Coinbase, ticker coin, over half of Fortune 100 firms betting on blockchain. Coinbase, something that we were in last week, right? Paid very nicely to the upside. Spotlight on consumer stocks with student loan repayments in the mix. Amazon eyes local businesses for last mile delivery network. There's just so much money involved in, micro logistics and micro transportation in that last mile. Apple self-service repair now available for iPhone 14 line. E-cigarette sales increased nearly 50% during 2020 to 2022. I don't doubt it at all. What is behind Big Pharma's recent underperformance? Oregon County sues big oil firms over rule in 2021 heat dome or role in 2021 heat dome. Mountain Valley Pipeline wins final permit to resume construction. LNG project approvals set to push U.S. to process record volumes. With the first half of 2023 in the books, what opportunities lay ahead? So, just like it says, first half of 2023 in the books, I could not be more excited about, what 2022 did for us, what 2023 has done for us so far, and what it will continue to do here as we head into another week, right? In another half of the year, we're always looking to get 1% better, right? Throw a one in the chat again, just for good measure. We're always looking to get 1% better. We're always looking to level up ever so slightly and then watch that compound to make some really life-changing events happen. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. As always, you can't beat it. You can't beat the Stock Options Made Easy community. The energy here, everybody trying to get better, everybody committed to that, is huge, right? And it will pay dividends. And I'm excited to see it do exactly that. It did it last week. It'll do it this week for us again. We got Powell speaking. We got some stuff on the docket, so we'll make sure to manage our expectations accordingly and execute when necessary. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for our next pre-market prep session. Peace.